Last but not least, definitely not least, Jin.
Yes.
Well, kind of thank you for being here as not only composer but also I also want to introduce you to a very important contact person, a very important person for this project, for introducing and scouting for Chami and Lin and Hang also as the Vietnamese persons involved in this project. Your biography is also, you studied very early in your life, also in the age of 13. You started at the musical college at this time, and then you afterwards you switched to the HMTM Hamburg. You are a composer and also improviser, and you've been to Vietnam, Ghana, and now you live currently in France. We're happy that you're here. I would like to ask, since you have the Vietnamese background, did you know the instruments before? And if yes, how deep or how much do you know?
Yeah, I would say I know the instrument, but because I worked with Chami in several projects before. I wouldn't dare to say that I really know about Adao. I know it as Vietnamese, but not enough to say that I really understand it. In fact, I worked with Chami and Ling together once last year, right? Last year. We performed together one piece, but at the time it was our first time to work together, and honestly, it was not really a deep work, deep collaboration, because we didn't have much time, and they were performing in Dubai Expo. Joachim was there too in the concert. We had some improvisation set at the time, but anyway, they performed with me and Hang as well in that piece. So I would say in TRAIECT is really my opportunity to work with them deeper and really work in detail, because the previous time when we worked together last year, we just like, okay, we put this and this part, because I create the electronic part first, and because they were not there, they were very busy in Dubai. I think I was in Ghana at the time also, and the time zone was completely different, and so it was quite difficult to communicate. And then we just say, okay, we put this part here and there, and I have the cue. So they flew back to Vietnam 3 hours before the concert, and we had one rehearsal together just before. So I would say, really, this time we had a chance. We have a chance to really work together in the first place and really try out things and say, okay, can you try this one? You can record it for me, because I was in Ghana at the time as well. And can you send me this? I want to make this kind of sound. And it was also difficult for Chami to do that. At first I asked Ling, and then it was like, didn't work out. So I asked Chami, because it's a bit more in an experimental way. And at the beginning it was also difficult, and we had to try to figure out how to put here, how to move the tongue, and how we form the mouth to be able to create that sound. So I really appreciate this opportunity. Thank you very much for Joachim, because then I really have a deeper, how to say, view, and in our traditional music, and also it's also the how to say, kind of rare opportunities that we combine Adao and Dabo, which also in Vietnam is, I don't think that anyone did before. So it's really something significant. And yeah, certainly it's not easy at all, but yeah, we can figure it out. And yeah, it's something for us to try to realize what we want to bring into the piece.
So what is the new things that you learned about those instruments? Or I am always having difficulties to say the voice as an instrument, but I would like to use that term if it's okay.
We call instrument as well for the singing. Yeah?
Okay.
For something new, yes. For example, like the different type of singing in Adao, which I didn't know before. I knew a bit last year when I worked with them, so I had to search for information and ask around, because then we have to choose what kind of Adao singing in the I would like to use in this part or some other certain part. And also about Fike, I didn't know much how she plays it. It sounds very complicated for me. I'm Vietnamese, but it's still something very complicated, and I can't really get up to for the rhythm. And so thanks to the workshop in April. So when they made the presentation, so I as other composers, we learned about it in detail, and they also sent more information after the workshop. And also with Chami, beside playing with the traditional technique, we try to use something new, kind of. So I also use aluminum foil to put over the string and see how it sounds. And we use the bow, and we have to try out if she should press very deeply, or it's just very like touch the string. And then we also, beside the plectrum to play on the string, we use the snare. Yeah. So with different techniques to play. So the sound of them are also different according to the how to say, the kind of the tool to use to plug it. And also it's also a chance for me to work more with our language, with Vietnamese, because according to the atmosphere, to the content that I compose for the piece, then what kind, because with the Adao singing, they always, the lyrics always a poem. So, and the content is really strong. It takes an important role in the Adao singing. So then I have to choose what kind of song, which song I would use in the piece, and what kind of atmosphere it is. And then also I use I choose other words which is not related to the poem, but it's more in the way to express the feeling. And then I cut a part of a word, so I just take a part. And I use it also with different tones in Vietnamese, and see if normally when you speak a complete word or a compound word or a phrase, then you can understand clearly what you mean if you are in a mutual language. But then how is it if we are Vietnamese and we don't use the full words? or we don't have a complete sentence. So can we express our emotion or feeling through that, or can we really feel each other? Then that also some materials that I put in.
And now you are working with traditional Vietnamese instrument and music. Have you worked with traditional music before, or how does that work, that piece align in your line of music or in your works that you have published so far?
Most of my compositions I use traditional music. It inspires me a lot. And at the beginning I only used like pre-recording of traditional music, and then progressively I worked with musicians to play live. And at the beginning it was just Vietnamese music, and then it opened up for me to work with traditional music from different cultures, different countries. And then later when I was in Ghana, I fused traditional music from different communities and from different countries as well. For example, I brought Chami to Ghana to perform in my previous project there. And we try to put Vietnamese music, traditional music, alongside with Ghanaian music. And not only with the Ghanaian music in the north, but also in the south, because as we know that African music, they have very strong character from each community culture. And there they rarely, or I'd say almost not, play music from one community with another. So they don't combine it. So when I work with them, I try to bring them all together. And I would say traditional music really take a big role in my composition.
Excuse my next question, but I have to ask this, because yesterday I saw that there's a cat in the video.
Yes.
Is there, what is I read that you are working also with the relationship between human and pet, or human and human. What is the theme that you want to bring with your piece, and maybe how does the cat come into play in this one?
Yeah, in fact this piece I dedicate or inspired by my cat of my family. He died a few months ago when I was in Ghana, and he was very sick. So when he lived with my parents in Hanoi, but he was born in the family by his mother there, so we have two cats at home. And he has very, very nice blue talking eyes. And so since I lived with my parents and was with him since he was born and he grew up and got old. And then later when he got sick, luckily at the beginning of this year I went back to visit my family. I was with him and his mother, and we had a very nice time. And then when I went back to Ghana, he got really sick, he didn't eat and so on. And then when I called my mom and she showed me him on the video, and he was so sick, it's just like only born. And he was really suffered a lot. And he even couldn't stand up or just stand up and fall. And it really hurt me a lot when I had to see it. And I think when I called her, it's just a few hours before he died. And it was really struggling. He hit his head on the floor because he tried to turn, and he couldn't. He didn't have enough forced to do that. So he just fall and hit the head on the floor, and it really touched me a lot when I saw it. So this piece I like dedicated to him, because each time we are at home, we always look at his eyes, and it's very beautiful, and always he like kind of kind of stare at us, like he wanna say something, or when he wanna expect something. So it's really, I'm obsessed by that, by his eyes. And when he died, it really stayed me for days. And also at that time, it was the time when I started to pack my stuff in Ghana to move to France. So the feeling at the time was so strong.
So how does this pet, or in this case cat relationship, also come with Vietnamese tradition? Is there any connection, or is it these two themes and these are brought together in this piece?
Yeah, it has connection.
Okay.
Yeah, because in fact in Vietnam, for I don't know, like since very old time until now, the domestic animal are not really pet like how you treat them in Europe. So it's just something like for their function. For example, like dog, we just keep them at home to like kind of warning if someone like stranger comes, or for the security, I would say. And for example, for the cat, it's just like to prevent from mouse, from the rats. Yeah. So, but of course, recently, like 10 years, 20 years up to now, they become more like a member in the families, and we have more connection with them, but not before. So before they were just something at home for some certain function. And so for in this piece, the how should I put it? My thought or the inspiration is the connection between the human and the pet, I would say. How we communicate, because we can't speak the same language. And for example, when you have a kitty or a dog, very small, I just consider as a baby. If you have a baby at home, you also can't talk with them, and they can't talk with you to say, oh, I'm painful, I'm hungry. It's the same, the cat or the dog or whatever. And later, if you live with them years to years, and then maybe you can understand your pet or your baby. And even with between human, for me, even when we speak the same language, we also don't understand each other. At some point, yes. And with some people, we even don't need to speak. Or with the pets, we don't need to speak, to talk. We can just feel each other, and we can feel that. So when my cat died, then it really hit me strongly that, okay, so how is it when I was at home, I took him, I talked with him, and he also had some communication with me, and the feeling if someone has a pet or a family member or close person, and you have to witness the suffering that they have to stand before they die, and what's the feeling and how yeah. So that's the thing that I put in this composition.
Is there questions from you?
What was the name of your cat?
Dome. It means spot.
Spot.
Yeah, because when he was a kid, he has a spot right at the forehead here, but when he grew up, then it disappeared. But among the siblings, he was the only one has one spot. So we call dome in Vietnamese. It means spot.
For me, it is always so interesting in these groups, and in particular in this one, how different the approach to composition is. For instance, what Essan and Michel mentioned about this reflection idea about the timbre. And if you agree, I would say for you it's exactly what you described with this Ghana project. So there were separated things and you brought them together. So I think all what I know from you is what we call in German this Gesamtkunstwerk, so this bringing things together. So not only music, not only sound, but performance, video, and in your case now also mask, and also animal. In a way, it's also okay if you agree. And so my question is on this background: how was for you this learning about the ways of composing from the others, from the colleagues in this project? Was something inspiring for you? Did you learn something? Did you feel any productive question, or was it just like, okay, I do this and you do that?
Yes, certainly I learned and inspired by the way how my colleagues work, according to some rehearsal that I attend. It's not all, since I arrived late, and also, but I see that each composer has very different way to work, to approach, different way to make score. When I see the score, totally different from one to another, and also the way how they, how should I put it, how they start to work with the musician from in the first place, because like they before that this track they didn't know these instruments or singing technique, and in a way I was lucky enough to translate for LälIng in the workshop and in an online meeting and later, so I could hear a bit how they discuss, and yeah, and they are different. They work in different way compared to mine, and see that okay how they work with the notation, because yeah, James said that it's really not the way of Vietnamese. That's true. Although I studied composition, but my way it always like a combination, like the way how I compose. Like I combine graphic score and notation, or with text score and things. It depends on the musician I collaborate with. So from them, it really inspired me how the different way they work with the musician, with the score, and the flexibility that they can leave the musician, that the musician can really show their strength in their in the composition.
I wouldn't have the question. Sorry.
But first, I was very curious about the mask that you used, because that was also another peaking moment of the rehearsal. So, like the use of mask in your piece.
Well, recently in the last few years, I start to. Now my interest expands to the performing, like theatrical pieces. So I also care about the way how I present the musician, or how I present the space, the atmosphere in the piece, around the piece. So not only that the musician, they play music or they sing or whatever on stage, but also something additional to support them, to bring the full feeling that I would expect. So the mask, when I use in this piece, it also has a role, because I want to how should I put it? To bring kind of spiritual feeling into this piece, because I want to use candles, which I can't in the museum. We just got the answer today, but with the candles and with the mask, it brings something like spiritual, also like kind of in our tradition, in our culture. So this piece is kind of memories for my cat, and so for the general feeling or the space, I want to really push it and to that point. That's why I want to use mask, and also I use mask because when I put the aluminum foil there, it also creates sound when they perform. So they will use, the musician will also use it. And when the piece finish, then the mask they are removed. And it's like the ceremony is done.
Just looking around, if there's one question. Is there, as you have the mask and the candle, is there more visuals? Do you have like also video and stuff like that with your...
Yeah, I have video in the piece. At first I didn't do that, I didn't decide for the video, because I thought, okay, maybe if only me to a video, then we have to think about projector and screen and stuff. And because I talked with Joachim a lot beforehand about the things, organizing, so try to make it more simple, because we move a lot and we don't have much time for setup, in fact. So I said, okay, then I just work with music. But then when I heard that Julia has videos, I was, yes, I take this chance, I will do it too. So yeah, then afterward the video came. Thank you. Otherwise I would have been complained. Only you.
Good, thank you so much. I try to make notes to tell a story at the end as a summary, but the only summary that I can make is that, as we have in the previous versions in that there's a little bit of a learning of TRAIECT, that the approaches and the pieces are so different from each other, because it's individual to individual, making these compositions happening, working together. It would not justify to make a summary, so I can only invite us all to go on Sunday to experience the pieces firsthand and not try to make it too complicated or try to make connections that are a little bit forced. So I thank you all.
But first,
yes.
Invite for tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
The other three composers are left.
Yes, we have now 4 ideas and 4 different approaches presented, and I am very sure that also tomorrow we're going to have 3 another completely different approaches, and I'm looking forward for that. And then on Sunday we will hear it finally, and hear and see it finally performed. So thank you all for coming today, and see you tomorrow and on Sunday.